I never drank until senior year of high school. Do you want to hear about the three places I peed? So, my senior year, this was 2021. This was just after a senior homecoming dance. Me and three other friends of mine decided we were going to drink for the first time. And this was 2021. This was right after we were all getting our vaccines and everything was opening up again after COVID. And so this was one of the first times we were going to get to go back to one of their houses and hang out unmasked, just being together. The dance was all masked. So we all drove home. My friends' names are Abby, Grace, and Anna. And we all drove to Abby and Grace's house. They were twins because we knew their parents would be asleep by the time we got back and we didn't want them to hear us drinking. So we texted our classmate who we knew had some connections in the area and we ended up getting a case of White Claw. And White Claw is a vodka seltzer that's really popular among young people because it's easy to drink, it's ready to drink, and it doesn't really taste like alcohol. And I had never had alcohol as much as like a sip of wine or like a glass of champagne at New Year's Eve. So this was a big deal for me. So we get the case of White Claw, we give him 20 bucks for it, we go upstairs, we start drinking. The first one I have is a blackberry White Claw, and this just tastes like seltzer. I'm like, there's no alcohol in this, there's no way. So I drink the first one in about 10 minutes, and everyone else is looking at me like, what are you doing? But we're all having fun, they're cheering me on, so they give me another, cherry flavored this time. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I finished this one too. And everyone else holds up theirs, and they all have either a fourth or a half of their first one left. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever drank, and I'm drinking it this fast. What's gonna happen to me? And I realize I'm drunk when I turn my head and the room starts spinning. So three out of the four of my friends and I are sitting on Abby's bed. Abby is the biggest germaphobe in our group. We're all trying to be super respectful of her space, keep it clean. We're all just laughing. We're getting a little drunk, and I'm like, guys, I really have to go to the bathroom. And no one really takes me seriously because we're all getting drunk. No one thought I was gonna do something right then. And Abby gives me a pillow, a pink throw pillow, and she says, if you have to pee, pee on this. And I'm like, okay, sure. But we all know she's joking, except for me, because a minute, not even a minute after she gave me the pillow and I sat down in it, I peed myself on the pillow. That was the first time I peed myself that night. So when I realized what's happening, about 5 seconds into the pee, I jump off the bed, laughing hysterically, and I just see everyone start to slowly realize what is happening and look at this wet spot on the bed that I was just in. So I'm rolling on the rug, laughing hysterically, completely useless in the situation. I'm completely drunk. I have never acted this way before. Everyone else has only had one White Claw. They're being super slow about it, so they're all a little tipsy, but nothing crazy. They're working crazily to get all the sheets and this pillow that I just peed on, that she told me I could pee on, so I was a little confused why she was mad. And all the sheets, we're thinking of excuses to tell her parents if they wake up and see us doing laundry at midnight, washing her entire bed. So we get it all clean. We decide to move into Grace's room because we're like, this place is cursed. We can't be in here anymore. Abby's freaking out. She's the biggest germaphobe. We're like, okay, we're sitting on the ground, and I think I have to make sure everyone is doing exactly as I say right now. I just get this urge over me to get everyone into position and start ordering them around. And so I tell Abby to sit on the chair crisscross, and I make her point to the fishbowl that's across the room, and I say, look at the fishbowl, and if you don't, I'm gonna come over there and move you. And every time she looks away, I say, no, look at the fishbowl. I make Anna lie down right next to me and put her face right next to mine and just laugh hysterically in her face. I make Grace sit on my head and stroke my hair. This goes on for about 30 minutes, and I'm just having fun, ordering them all around because I thought if they didn't do this, something really bad was gonna happen to us. But I couldn't explain what it was. I was just like, you guys have to do this. And somewhere in this process of we're all just talking, we've just had the dance, we're talking about that, we're all talking about how excited we are to be together and start drinking, and my laughter turns into sobbing. From 1 second, it just start hysterically sobbing, tears streaming down my face. There's no reason to this. I can't explain why I'm crying. I'm just hysterically sobbing. And Abby and Grace's parents, their mom hears us and comes upstairs, and we're like, oh my God, shoot. So we all have to start acting super quiet. She comes to the door, and Abby, who's the second drunkest besides me, goes out, and she's like, it's okay, you're just hearing him laugh. He's not crying, he's just laughing. Like, we're just laughing, we're having a really good time. And she was like, no, like, that sounds like crying. Like, Jonah is sobbing, and they're like, what's going on? Like, I'm laying on the ground, literally just sobbing into Grace's hands because she's holding my head. And Abby's like, well, he's never done team sports before, so that's why he's crying. And this was because senior year, we all did the ultimate frisbee team together at school. And so I was like on this team. But she forgot to mention that I had been doing swimming team sports for my entire high school career. So this made no sense at all. So her mom believed us, or chose to believe us, to not have to deal with us anymore. Walk downstairs and we're like, okay, it's time for bed. It's around like 12:30 at this point. We're like, too much has happened. So I'm like, okay. So I have one hand under Anna and one hand under Grace. They're trying to prop me up. And as soon as I stand up, I'm like, something's gonna happen. And it does. And I pee myself for the second time that night. And the sound of the pee hitting the hardwood floor and just hearing everyone realize what was happening and running away and dropping me, just, I don't think I'll ever forget that. So I had already gone through the backup pair of clothes that I brought with me for this sleepover, so I had to borrow someone else's, get me all cleaned. Abby and Anna are like, you know what, we're just gonna go to bed. Like, I think I'm done with you. And I'm like, you know what, like, I respect that. So for the rest of the night, me and Grace stay in the pitch black bathroom because I had demanded she turn the lights off. I'm sitting over the toilet with my head over the toilet because I'm deciding if I'm gonna throw up or not. And we're just talking about something that I can't remember now, but probably was completely irrelevant to the entire situation. It had nothing to do with what was happening. And around 1 a.m., we're like, okay, it's time for bed. A lot has happened tonight. The third and final time that I peed myself this night was when I stood up and I was like, you know what? It's happening again. And pee just comes out. And I could have just sat down because there was a toilet right in front of me, but I was like, no, I think I'm just gonna go with it. I've committed this far. I can hear Grace like disappointedly sighing in the background, and I'm like, okay, you know what, it's happening. So we get me cleaned up again. This is the second pair of shorts that I've had to borrow from my friends. We go to bed, and then next Monday at school, I could not look at anyone in this group. I was like, we can never speak of this ever again. And now, to this day, we still say to get into position whenever we had to get something from one another, and I have never drank a White Claw again in my life. Thank you.